Now, accountants are very analytical. They're very logical. Solicitors, accountants. So I've said in the past that people buy emotionally, which they do. But accountants like to deny the emotional side of themselves. They're so logical. They are left brain. This is a left brain closing technique. What you do is you get a bit of paper. In the middle of the paper, you draw a line in the centre. And you say to the prospect, okay, let's write down the reasons why we should go ahead. Real logical stuff. Now, you help the client in doing this. You help the prospect. And the energy of both of you, you'll usually have about 7 reasons why they should go with you. Mm-hmm. Then you say to the client, to be absolutely fair, Michael, let's actually go for the reasons why we shouldn't go ahead. Now, you, as the salesperson, you remain deadly silent at this stage. The prospect usually has about 2 reasons. You draw the line. Remember, it's very logical. You've done a mini feasibility study, for and against, and you say the numbers say it's 7 against 2. That settles it, doesn't it, Michael? That is a classic closing technique called the for and against. It works on people who are very analytical. Okay, they love the analysis because the numbers tell the story.
Good. Number 2.
Number 2. Now, final objection close. This is when everything fails. Okay, you've gone in for 45 minutes and you can't break the code. And the reason you can't break the code is because you're realising the buyer is not telling you the truth. So here's the approach. You actually let go of the sale. Example. I'm speaking to you. I'm trying to convince you of my product. I sense that you're not going to buy from me. I don't hide it. I admit it. I say, Michael, look, I can see that you're really not interested in the product or in the service. But I said, I'm relatively new to what I'm doing. Just to help me, is it something that I did wrong? Now, what happens to the buyer? The buyer releases the pressure. He's feeling totally disarmed. He's saying, thank God that's over, Tony. And you know what he does, Michael? He tells you the truth. Because when I'm looking at you, I've got puppy dog eyes. I'm really sad. Like, oh, I've lost the sale. Okay. Almost tears are coming out, Michael. All right. I'm crying. It's all over me. Right. I'm not really crying. I'm just trying to bring the defences down. You want to help me. So you say, look, Tony, it's got nothing to do with you. It's just that we got a better price from the competitor. I didn't know that. The only reason I got that out is because I let go of the sale. In letting go of the sale, I just opened you honestly, say, Michael, please help me to find out how I can improve. Then I come back in again. And then I say to you, Michael, look, I understand that our price is too high. But just say I could. Just say I could go back to my boss. All right? Can I get back in the game? And you nod your head, Michael. That's the final objection close.
Yep. Number 3.
And the last one. Look, this happened to me. Very true story. A lot of the listeners already know that I'm married to an Ingrid Guattari. Okay, 6 years ago, Michael. Okay, we started a business. 6 years ago, I promised my amazing wife I would buy her a diamond ring. 6 years ago, I would buy that diamond ring on her birthday, the 8th of January. Okay, 6 years ago, we decided to go away for the weekend to Melbourne without the children. You understand what I'm meaning? No, weekend away.
Yep.
All right, happy days. Okay, now, when I got to the Melbourne hotel, which happened to be the Crown Casino, because they were offering cheap rates at that stage, I open up the newspaper, and I think it's the Herald Sun. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and on page 7, there is a full-page advertisement for a jewellery sale inside the complex.
Right.
On a Saturday morning. Now, my wife, who is a much better financial steward than I am, says to me, honey, do you mind if we just have a look? I know we can't afford it. I know we have no money. All right? And I go, yeah, no problems. Happy wife, happy life. And she said, I'll only be there 15 minutes. I said, sure, no problem. Now, we walk down there after breakfast. As soon as I walk in, these guys are pros. On the left-hand side, there is a section for men. Big screen TV, Nintendo, PlayStation, magazines, coffee, fruit. I say to my wife, in my absolute stupidity, take as long as you want. My wife goes to the counter. True story.
I believe you.
Truth. After about 5 minutes, my wife comes to me and she says, Tony, have you seen some of these jewellery designs? And I go, but honey, we're not buying today. We're just looking. And she goes away. Goes back to the counter. Second time she comes back, Tony, after 5 minutes, she goes to me, you should have a look at some of these designs. We can get ideas of what we're going to do in Sydney. Now remember, happy wife, happy life. I actually go with her and I say, okay, I'll have a look. Now I'm not even, the salesperson has never spoken to me. Never has once the salesperson spoken to me. I'm reluctant. I'm going there behind my wife. I'm looking at the designs and I say to Ingrid, the jewellery's really for you. Whatever you like, I'll like. I go back to my little section. Then in a couple of minutes, something else happens. She comes to me. She says, Tony, we've got an American Express. I said, but honey, we have to pay the money back. We have to pay it. We have to pay it. She comes back 5 minutes later on and she says, Tony, I've just calculated that if we buy it on American Express, we can actually go to New Zealand to see our family there and back. Then she comes back to me again and she says, Tony, have you seen some of these prices? They're amazing. Did you know that this sale, they only do this 2 times a year, once in the Gold Coast and in Melbourne. They normally sell to retailers. We are going to get the wholesale price for us. And I go, that's extraordinary, honey, but we don't have the money. And here's the close. 5 minutes later on, she comes to me. A little bit more assertive this time. She says, Tony, how come every time you want to buy something, you never ask me? When you want to buy your golf clubs, when you want to buy your big screen TV, you can buy it. Now, I have given birth to 2 of your children. The last one was 14 hours labour. I deserve this. Now, Michael, do you actually believe that I bought the product?
Yes.
Absolutely. Did at any one time, did the salesperson ever speak to me?
No.
No. This is a classic closing technique called the divide and conquer. The divide and conquer works on the basic assumption that you don't have to sell to both parties. You only have to wind up the more enthusiastic one. Okay? Because there's an old saying, sex sells. You know what sex also does? It also closes sales. I knew that if I did not buy that diamond ring, my life would be miserable for that weekend. That is an amazing closing technique in its own right.